Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. Take a trip into the macabre world of goth modeling in the new millennium in this spooktacular Spinsterella story. Pick up your copy of Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. On the same day that far-right activist Charlie Kirk was being assassinated, a teenager opened fire at Evergreen High School in Colorado, wounding two people, and eventually wound up taking his own life.
We are getting some answers about the shooter behind this attack. Denver 7 Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kowaleski joins us now live in studio. Tony, you have been breaking news nonstop for the past 24 hours. You've been very busy, and you were the first on the scene at the house of the suspected shooter. What can you tell us now that you're learning today?
Well, it has certainly been a busy 24 hours, Natalie. Our sources describe an all-hands-on-deck environment as investigators still work to determine the motive of the 16-year-old shooter. Now, you should know we will include his name and his picture in this report, but after 24 hours, our policy will exclude his picture from our reporting and minimize the use of his name.
We know that the suspect had a handgun.
24 hours after the shooting, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office provided more details about 16-year-old Desmond Hawley.
He had to keep reloading. He would fire and reload, fire and reload, fire and reload. This went on and on.
Details coming out after investigators spent several hours Wednesday night digging through the teen gunman's home. This is exclusive video. His home about 15 minutes from Evergreen High School. Our cameras captured nearly a dozen law enforcement vehicles driving into the community. Inside the house, we could see cameras flashing as investigators executed the search warrant, trying to find out more insight into the shooter's motive.
Based on some of the information that we're seeing about this suspect is that he was radicalized by some extremist network.
Sheriff sources confirming investigators also trying to discover if there were any accomplices to Desmond Hawley's shooting spree, and also acknowledging they are looking to determine what his parents knew before the shooting.
The suspect's
parents, I assume is the right word here?
They have been cooperative.
Are they under investigation for any reason?
I think everything is on the table when it comes to looking at this investigation and where it leads us. And I think that they're aware of that as well. But we have not run into a roadblock with this family.
And again, stressing, the sheriff's spokesperson confirmed today that the gunman's parents have been cooperative with investigators. One key question, that remains unanswered is, where did the shooter get his gun? Now, our sources saying right now they do not know, but that is a question investigators continue to focus on. It's an answer they want.
Tony, we know that when you get that answer, you will keep us updated. You have been doing what you do best for the last 24 hours, which is get important information out to the public. So thank you so much.
Our sources have helped a lot.
And the investigative team, you've done some great work. You've been working around the clock, and our Denver 7 digital team has also been working around the clock to bring you answers on air and online. Just scan the QR code on your screen or head to denver7.com and you can find our up-to-the-minute coverage there.
Now, in this alleged incident that took place at Evergreen High School in Colorado, 16-year-old Desmond Hawley took out a firearm and began to participate in a mass shooting. And as he looked to participate in this mass shooting with the gun that he had brought to the school, he wound up critically injuring two of his classmates before law enforcement came to the school, and that is where Desmond Hawley wound up taking his life with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Now, the police in Colorado see this as an isolated incident, but when I take a critical examination of the behavior of Desmond Hawley, it fits the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And it's clear to me that Desmond Hawley is part of an emerging trend and pattern among younger mass shooters as they look to go out here and participate in this violence based on misinformation that they read on the internet. Now, Desmond Holly, this 16-year-old young man, was basically embracing tragedies like Columbine and other mass shootings like mass shooting of the Top supermarket in Buffalo and the mass shooting of the Christchurch in Australia. And basically, as he was watching a lot of these incidents, was thinking about plotting and planning his own mass shooting as he embraced other ideologies such as white supremacy and anti-Semitism online. And he also went to a website called Watch People Die, which depicted a lot of online murders and rapes and beheadings, showing me a pattern of antisocial behavior that this young man was participating in, and an emerging pattern that I'm seeing among a lot of newer mass shooters as related to the internet. Now, what's been happening with a lot of these younger mass shooters, as we've seen the increase in frequency of these crimes, is that a lot of these younger mass shooters, especially those from Gen Z and Generation Alpha, a lot of these younger people are watching a lot of misinformation from these websites online, and these websites are basically indoctrinating these young people into an ideology of believing that mass shooting is something that they should do that's socially acceptable, or something that they can do to go out here and get attention for themselves. Now, what happened with this young man is that he went online to these different websites, again, reading this misinformation. And as he read this misinformation, he was sitting there believing that mass shooting was something that anybody should be able to do, and believed that he could, because he hated people, he had a justification to take their lives. And this is what motivated him, I believe, to go to Evergreen High School and look to try to do harm to his fellow classmates, because he had become completely desensitized to even regarding human life as having any sort of value, all based on all of the twisted misinformation that he got online, going to, again, graphic antisocial websites like Watch People Die, and also going on these white supremacist websites. But all of this wound up maladjusting this young boy and basically poisoning his mind as related to going out and participating in this kind of violence. That's what happened to this young man. That is a part of a growing trend I have been seeing among these younger mass shooters over the past 2 to 3 years. Over the past 2 to 3 years, I have seen an emerging pattern as these shooters are getting younger and younger, and it's showing me how they are basically being influenced heavily by the misinformation put on the internet, and shows me why parental supervision is important as related to children being on the internet, because a lot of websites out here are run by very antisocial people, and a lot of social media sites have a lot of antisocial information on them, like TikTok and other YouTube and other platforms. And the content put on there by these individuals can easily influence a child to believe that antisocial behavior is perfectly fine, when antisocial behavior in and of itself is showing that someone has really serious issues as related to their perception of reality. And that's what's happened here with this young man. What happened here with this young man, 16-year-old Desmond Holly, is that he basically became completely maladjusted as he went out here and went on these websites, again, becoming completely desensitized to, again, having regard for human life. Because when you watch a lot of videos of people being decapitated, people being murdered, people being raped, again, this is this dark web stuff, antisocial media. And this young man basically was watching this because his family did not supervise him on the internet, and that's something every parent needs to be able to do. But sadly, in an age of the smartphone, what's happening is that people are getting their minds poisoned, especially young children. They have the internet in their hands, but the sad part is that because they have the internet in their hands, without parental supervision. They're on these websites again and getting into this misinformation, getting their minds completely poisoned by all of this misinformation. And that misinformation is giving us a new generation of mass shooters who are looking to go out here and get attention for themselves because they see their predecessors like Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold going out here and participating in this type of terrorism and getting all sorts of press. And this is what is motivating a lot of these young people like Natalie Rupp now and many others to go participate in these crimes. They want to go out in a blaze of glory because they don't believe that they can achieve anything in life. And since they don't believe they can achieve anything in life, what they do is participate in this kind of violence, a violence that basically usually ends with them taking their own lives because, again, they sit there and they basically have no real understanding that there is something to aspire to. This is what's been happening as related to these groups of teens. Again, they go on these websites, they read this stuff that's just complete garbage. And again, it shows why we really need parental supervision as related to young children, especially adolescent children who are trying to get an understanding of the world. But the whole thing is that because they go to these websites, they get a misunderstanding of how life actually works. And that's the scary part about this internet these days, is that we have a lot of these, again, hate websites, a lot of these racist websites, a lot of these anti-social websites, and a lot of times these kids, again, they're going on these websites and they're, again, reading this garbage, this poison information, and not seeing it as with any sort of discernment. No, they take it for truth, and this is why parents really need to supervise their children, or just give them regular cell phones without any sort of internet access. I mean, this is what parents really need to do, I believe, because when it comes down to this internet, I mean, there's all sorts of, again, anti-social websites on here, again, running speculating conspiracy theories, speculating all sorts of racism, and again, no sort of substantiation as related to their facts. And a lot of these kids can't discern from what is actual fact and actual information. No, a Google search really cannot help somebody discern information the way you would with a card catalog, where you could read books and see, oh, this book has sources to verify the information. No, when these are kids on there, they go by what they feel, and that's what happened with this Colorado teen shooter. He basically was going to these different websites, again, like this violent gore website, again, this watch people die, again, antisocial behavior, and sadly his parents basically did not check him and watch him to say, hey, why are you on this type of sick website? This is sick content. You shouldn't be watching people like this. I mean, this is where parents have to step in, because if they step in, maybe they could save a life or two as related to these mass shootings, or prevent some of these mass shootings, because you really do need to go and check on your child's history. And it's as easy as hitting Control Y in Google Chrome and basically finding out what type of content they're putting on. Now, I know some people can say, oh, you'll clear the history, but if you have a computer, again, you need to have some software to block some of this stuff as well. I mean, this can be the difference between life and death, and the difference between you having a child who is a healthy child, or a child of the corn who eventually winds up growing up to become a child in crisis. Now, if you want to learn more about what leads to beta males going out here and being motivated to participate in this type of violence, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS, Dark Incubus, the goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new ISIS series adventure. Get your copy of ISIS Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and Kindle, vampires stalk the darkness of the Eternal Night. Get your copy of Eternal Night in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.